Haiper AI lets you generate videos from just a prompt. Let's check it out. This is the Haiper homepage, and in the background we can see a lot of videos that have been created with Haiper, and they're beautiful and awesome. I finally thought of an analogy for this. It's like a casino, where you see the pictures of the jackpot winners with their big checks, but then you go in from machine to machine and pull a handle and it pops up and says, sorry, try again, sorry, try again. With a lot of promotion about generative AI, we see the jackpot winners, but we're not necessarily seeing all the times that somebody pulled the handle and got the equivalent of a sorry, try again, or the images or videos or text that just didn't work out. But hey, I would expect them to show their best work, wouldn't you? So from this homepage, we can click on the Try for Free button or the Start Creating button. Either one will take you to set up your Haiper account, which is very straightforward and simple to do. Since I already have my account set up, when I click Start Creating, it'll take me right into the generation page. You've got a couple of options here at the top under Explore, which are Create Video with Text. That's where you just type in a prompt and it generates a video. Animate your image. This is where you bring in an image from somewhere else. It could be a real-life image, something you created in Leonardo, and animate from there. Repaint allows you to make changes to an existing video, and then Extend Your Video is not available yet, but is expected to allow you to create longer videos than the 2 or 4 seconds currently available with Haiper. Now on the left menu, you have Explore, which is the page we're currently on. Then you have Spotlight, which is where you would submit your creations to be featured on this Spotlight section of the Explore page. Then we have Creations, which are the videos that we have created, Favorite for things that we've favorited, and then Profile for our profile. Pretty straightforward. If you're looking to switch into dark mode, it's down here on the bottom left, just that little switch here, and I'm already in dark mode because only weirdos use light mode. If we want to create a video from a text prompt, we can just click this button that says Create Video with Text. Now the prompt box is already here on this Explore page. It's down at the bottom middle and it stays sticky there as you scroll the page. So when you click on Create Video with Text, the only thing that happens is that it pops up this little extra section that gives you some sort of preset prompt enhancements. So let's throw something simple here in our prompt box. Let's say a chimpanzee eating a banana in a mall food court. These little enhancement tags up here, if you click one of them, these sort of define a style and then it'll add some things to your prompt to get you to that style. For instance, if I click old film, then what I end up with added to my prompt is black and white movie style retro 1960s grayscale layers. And the black and white movie style you'll see is in double parentheses. And that's because if we add parentheses, double parentheses, or triple parentheses, that's telling the AI that this is really important. And the more parentheses you add, the more important you're telling it is. So single parentheses is important, double is really important, and triple is really, really important. Now, I don't want this to be an old film style, so I deleted that back out of my prompt. The options you have over here to the right, this little eyeball is the visibility. When I recorded this video, Haiper was free, like completely free, no subscription options whatsoever. And at that time, the visibility option was available to everyone. You could decide whether you wanted your video creation to be public or private. Public meant that it might show up in the showcase or other places and people could see your video and could see your prompt and everything else. Private meant it was just for you. Now this morning when I go to upload this video that you're watching right now, Haiper has released membership options. And now the only way to make your video creations private is to be a member with the Pro subscription, which is $30 a month or $24 a month if you pay annually. If you're using Haiper for free, or even if you're in the Explorer membership, which is $10 a month monthly or $8 a month if paid yearly, you'll have this little pop-up, but you won't be able to click that option to turn it on. Instead, you'll have to upgrade using that purple upgrade button. So throughout the rest of this video, if you see me click the eyeball and it pops up and gives you the option to make it public or private, just know that that doesn't exist anymore. The new option only lets you create in private if you are a Pro member, which I am not. But again, I recorded this video a few days ago when it was all free. Now back to our exploring. The settings button right here next to create, if we click that, your options are to select a seed, to change the duration from 2 seconds to 4 seconds, those are your only two options, and then to choose your aspect ratio, which they do have quite a few of those to pick from. We're going to stay at 16:9. You can also enter a seed here if you generated a video from text within Haiper and you want to keep that same seed to try and get a very similar output. So let's go ahead and just click create. Now I'm going to cut out most of this generation time for the sake of your time, but in my experience, it's taking between 3 to 5 minutes for it to generate a 2-second video. And now our chimpanzee is ready to take a look at. And I'd say that's a chimpanzee in a mall food court eating a banana. But he's eating the banana in a sort of unusual way. He's left part of the peel on, he's taken part of the peel off, and if we look at the peel where it connects right here in the middle, but there isn't a peel down here, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I think this would probably pass if for some reason you needed a video of a chimpanzee eating a banana in a food court. I think it's really great that it blurred the background so much because you don't have that issue with the letters in these signs being completely weird and nonsensical. You got some shoppers wandering around, the little kiosks, the plants in the food court and the pillars and the atrium type thing, so really good overall with the composition, I think. If you download that video, you will get it in 720p, which is good, but not great. I mean, if you're looking for 4K, this ain't it. From here, once you have your video generated, you can give it a thumbs up or thumbs down, tell Haiper whether you liked it or not. Right here at the bottom next to this favorite button, you can download it by just clicking download. If you click the share button, you'll get the option to share it to X or Facebook or copy the link to share it wherever else you want. And if you click this little right arrow at the end of your prompt, it'll pop up and give you the video info, which is the prompt that you used, the ID, the seed, in case you want to try and generate something very similar again, and the aspect ratio. It also gives you the date and time that it was generated. If you want to recreate the video using the exact same prompt and information, you can click this little regenerate button above the video, and it will ask you to confirm that you want to regenerate using the exact same inputs. The next button is very prompt, so you can click the very prompt, and that will allow you to just make some minor tweaks to the prompt. Maybe if you wanted to change this to eating a piece of pizza or whatever, that would give you a starting place of your existing prompt and let you make some changes and hit go. It doesn't give you the option to say, let's try this again, but at 4 seconds instead of 2. You can also repaint. Let's hold on to that idea for just a second. More over here on the right gives you the option to delete the video or look at who can view. If you click who can view, right now it's public. Remember, we set that to public to begin with. So if I want to try this again, but I want to try it at 4 seconds, I can click the little right arrow here. I've got my pop-up and I can click the little copy button, which will copy the prompt, close this out, come down to the prompt box, paste that in. Then I can go over to settings and switch this to 4 seconds. And then we'll hit create and we shall wait. And at just under 6 minutes, we have our 4-second video created, just like the 2-second video is at 720p, and both are at 24 frames per second. So let's go ahead and enlarge this and see what's going on here. Yeah, I don't think I'm in love with that at all. First, he's at a banana bar, I guess. I don't know, which I haven't seen in a food court near me, but, you know, maybe they exist, so that changes things a little bit. I definitely like the idea of him, you know, sitting at a table at a food court. I don't know what's wrong with this banana. Maybe it's just the peel. I don't know. And his tongue looks like a sliced banana, and he's not really eating. I don't know what he's doing. You know, again, maybe it would pass for the use that you need. That's one of the difficult things about trying out these generative AI tools, whether it be images, videos, text, or whatever. You can come in and come up with some random prompt, tell it to do it, and it comes out and you go, well, yeah, that looks like a chimpanzee eating a banana. But chances are that's something that you would never, ever have a need or a use for. So to see whether something is going to work for you and how well it's going to work, I highly recommend that you test things out with prompts and ideas that you would actually use. Maybe a project you're currently working on or one that you recently did where you know you can visualize in your mind's eye what it was you needed for that project and see if you can generate that and how easily. Now let's look into some generations that I've experimented with. First, I type something very simple, waterfall, and see what it gives me. And by golly, that's a waterfall. Short as it may be, because 2 seconds just isn't that long, that is a waterfall, and it's moving, and I don't see any major flaws, other than I didn't like that it seemed to be hidden in a dark place underneath a I don't know what, with just a little bit of sunlight poking through. Now that's not Hyper's fault, because all I said was waterfall. It gave me a waterfall, it delivered. But I wanted something a little bit more bright and magical, so I changed up my prompt a little bit. I think I got some help from ChatGPT. I put all this garbage in here, a waterfall cascading down a cliff in full sunlight, the scene's bright and vibrant, blah, 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 and this is how that came out. And I thought, well, I don't know, I think that's just a little bit too magical. So I modified that prompt a little bit more and set a waterfall cascading down a cliff in full sunlight under a clear blue sky. And this is what it created, which is more like what I was looking for to begin with, but there's some strange choppiness in the water flowing. Again, I've got this at full screen, so it makes it very noticeable. When it's smaller, it's not such a big deal, and it would probably be just fine to use. And then I wanted to experiment with trying to generate something when I knew what the outcome should be, at least basically. Maybe not every detail, but in general. And the project that popped into my mind was not even mine. It was one that I saw by Robert Stanley, who makes some really interesting music videos. And one in particular that I really enjoyed is called G'day from Texas. And it's about a crossover from living in Texas and living in Australia. And it is really, really entertaining. And he put this together with a bunch of AI tools. He wrote a song, it's a music video, and he's got some AI generated visuals in there too. It's just really cool. At one point in there, the main character is having an issue with a dingo. It's pretty hysterical. There's one little spot where he's chasing after the dingo with a frying pan. And I thought, let's see if we can create that. And so I prompted it, man in the Old West wielding a cast iron frying pan and chasing after a wild dog in the style of an old Western. And this is what it gave me. So I was not super impressed. I mean, it's only 2 seconds, but the dog is definitely chasing him, not the other way around. He's got a frying pan here, and I don't really know what's going on up in his right hand, which is on the left side of our screen. Just doesn't look right. Anyway, it didn't have the feel that I was going for at all. And it didn't match the overall look of Robert Stanley's video, which would be part of the requirements if you're trying to generate an asset and you need it to fit in with your other stuff. This didn't meet the challenge. So I went over to Leonardo, and at first, you can probably tell here, I had some issues getting the man and even just a frying pan, getting it to understand what a frying pan was. There's a point here where he appears to be riding the dog, and then the frying pan turns into a kettle. It wasn't going well for me to begin with. After a little tweaking, I wound up with this image, which looked a little better. I thought the way the dog's legs were tucked here during the run was a little odd, but I thought, maybe this will work. I tried motion in Leonardo, and this is what Leonardo came up with. So the dog's legs are kind of morphing and melding in a way that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. He's kicking up a lot of dust. And our man with the frying pan is not really moving off of his right leg, and his frying pan seems to be made of some kind of rubber, I guess. I don't know. But Haiper has video to image, so let's see what it can do. Well, here is attempt number 1. The dog is running in place, and it looks like our man with the frying pan, his leg just disappears. 2 legs turn into 1 or something. I don't have a man chasing a dog with a frying pan there. And that was just by putting the image in. I didn't add anything in the prompt, I just uploaded the image. To do that, at the top of the page, we just click Creation Mode, and you say Animate Your Image, and then you'll notice that above the prompt box, you just get a little Upload Image option here. So you just click that, select the image that you want to use, and then everything else is identical. You can write your prompt, you have the same visibility option, and you have the seed and duration settings available to you. Now you don't get the aspect ratio option because it's going to follow whatever image you uploaded. So my next test was, all right, let's upload that same image, but this time let's give it a prompt. So I told it, a man holding a frying pan chasing a dangerous dog. And I added the word dangerous because this man is not just a meanie trying to abuse this dog. In the context of the whole story, trust me, the dog wins. But I didn't want anything to look like we were trying to hurt animals. Believe me, I like dogs way more than people, so that I'd never go for any of that. And here's what I got by adding that prompt. It seems like if we're doing anything here, we're running backward. Now, the frying pan does do a good job of staying a frying pan, but beyond that, we're not getting much. I did attempt to see how true to the image does the animation need to be. In other words, there's another line in Robert Stanley's video where the dog lifts his leg on the man's bare feet. So I thought, well, with this image, this same exact image, could I tell it to do that? Upload the image and say a dog lifts his leg on a man's bare feet. What would it do with that? Would it change the image? The short answer is no, it did not. It basically just tried to do the running thing again, I guess because in the image, it seems pretty obvious that that's what should be happening here. If they're moving, they should be running. Then I tried to change up the prompt a little bit and make sure it understood exactly what I was doing. I uploaded the same image and said, running dog, man chasing running dog. Thought maybe some more simple language. And now my dog seems to run sideways and the man has the frying pan melt into his arm somehow. And the point of all that is that if I was making that video and I needed a clip of this man and this dog, I didn't get it here after 5 different attempts. And again, with a 3 to 5 or 6 minute generation time between each attempt, I lost interest. And in all fairness, Leonardo Motion was not getting the man in the frying pan and the running dog right either, as you saw. I was able to get the still image, but not the motion part, not the video part. So I thought I'd try a pig wearing goggles flying an airplane, and this is what I ended up with. I got a pig and goggles, and there's an airplane, but he's not flying the airplane. This is where you can tell that my attention span was wavering. Fortunately, and this is a plus, you can have multiple things generating at one time. You can type in your prompt, hit create. While that's running, as soon as that starts, type in a completely different prompt and hit create and keep on going, and they'll all be working. Now, I don't know if each one takes a little bit longer because you have multiple ones going at the same time or not. It didn't seem like it. Now, I only had 2 or 3 going at any given time, and it didn't seem to take much longer, but like I said, everything seemed to be just taking too long anyway. While this was working and I had failed at a couple attempts already, I went ahead and typed in this pig wearing goggles flying an airplane prompt to see what that would come out like, and I also typed in this beautiful woman out in the sunlight with her hair gently blowing in the breeze. That's one I've seen everywhere, so I thought, let's give it something that I absolutely know it can do and see how it does for me. And the way that one came out looks like this. So that one's great. We've got a beautiful woman, she's in the sunlight, the hair's blowing in the breeze, it checks all the boxes. I tried my pig again. He seems to be running on some part of an airplane that's sitting on the ground. That's not what I wanted. I wanted him actually flying the plane. I also tried a beautiful woman smiles, and this one I had to play over a couple times because I thought I was missing something, but this is what it came out like. Yeah, it did not read my mind at all, and I don't know why these things can't do that. What I wanted was the act of her smiling, going from a straight face to a smile. And I thought that's what it would give me. Instead, it just has her holding a smile and just a little teeny bit of motion movement in the background, which I guess is okay. But in the beginning, I thought nothing's moving here. What happened? It didn't animate anything. Well, it did. It's just a teeny little bit of the background. And next I wanted to try this repaint feature that we skipped in the beginning. So I took that original image I had of the girl with her hair blowing in the breeze in the sunlight, and you see that's what she looks like. So I took that and I selected the area of her shirt and then just typed in the prompt blue shirt, and then this is what it gave me. So on that test, it did great. And then I also tried to take that a little bit further and said, all right, let's take that same image, the original one of the beautiful woman in the sunlight with her hair blowing in the breeze. Let's take that and see if we can change it to an old man. And sure enough, it did. He's got some wild hair going on, but it is fascinating that it was able to take this image, this outline, and turn it into something completely different. So let me show you how to do that. We'll go back and start with this original image here, and I will click this little paintbrush icon that says Repaint, and then it pops up with this pretty small window here. But if we click the very region, it makes it a little bit bigger. Then we click the little plus button that says Add Mask, and now we can come up and I'll just click here on her shoulder, and it selected the shirt. And that's exactly the area that I wanted to repaint. So when I just type in blue shirt here and create, that's how it ended up generating this same video, only with her in a blue shirt. I'm going to hit undo on that and show you how I did the old man. So I just clicked up here on her head, and you see the outline, what it masks, the area it says it wants to work with. And this is where I just typed an old man, and it turned that into an old man. Now you can see here, her hair is blowing off to the left of this screen, and I'm pretty sure that's why I ended up with that kind of weird hair coming off of the old man, where it was coming off the back of his head, because I did not select that area. I think if I had also clicked here in the hair area, now it would have incorporated that too, and I wouldn't have ended up with that weird hair coming off the back of the old man's head. You can also use the minus button here and remove area. So I'll click here on this bright sunshine spot, and then I'm just going to put my original prompt back in there. A beautiful woman out in the sunlight with her hair gently blowing in the breeze. We'll hit create on that. And a few minutes later, let's see what happens. Remember, we had our area selected up here that we said remove area, and this is what it came up with. Now let's go back up and compare that to our original. This is what our original looked like, and this is the area that we removed up here. So it did change that area. So it adhered to the prompt and it stayed within the style of the generated video, but it changed this area up here that we selected and said to remove. So that was the original, and that is after we masked and removed that area. So the repainting seemed to be doing a really good job. Now there's one place where it did less than stellar, and that was here with my little piggy who's supposed to be flying. Even though he was sort of trotting in place on the wing of this airplane, I wanted to see if I could change that to a blue airplane. I went to this original video clip, I clicked the paintbrush, and then with the add mask, the little plus button selected, I clicked on the airplane and then I typed in blue airplane. Unfortunately, it just took that part of the airplane completely away. So not a hit on that one, but for the most part, the repaint did do very well. I was really interested in experimenting with its ability to generate the correct motions, have the right things moving. So I tried a college student rides a bicycle across the college campus, and this is what it gave me. I'm not sure what he's doing there. He seems to be riding sideways, forward and back. I don't know what's happening there. This left leg sort of morphs and tries to disappear and comes back. So that wasn't exactly in the win column. When I tried to get the same motion in Leonardo, this is what it came up with. The face is not so good, and the tires here do something a little weird. They kind of run parallel and change shapes, and he's not pedaling, which I could live with. He could be coasting, but I wouldn't necessarily call that one a win either. So then I tried a surgeon in an operating room eating tacos while performing surgery. I mean, sounds legit, right? And I got a surgeon, I guess, with the strangest mask I've ever seen performing surgery on tacos. Not quite there, Haiper. I tried this a few more times with a few different prompts, and it still didn't get it. In fairness, Leonardo didn't get it either, not even for a still image. And then there's this. I thought my prompt was pretty safe. I wanted a shiny black DeLorean driving past the White House. And I wanted it to be shiny black because DeLoreans are notoriously just stainless steel. This is AI, why not make something that doesn't exist? But I get this that says this video may contain explicit content. I don't know what's explicit about it. Now it did let me generate the video. It doesn't show you the preview right away. You have to, click into it, I guess acknowledging that, yeah, I'm about to see something that could be explicit, and this is what it created. DeLorean looking vehicle in front of a White House looking place. Great, let's hit play. And now it seems to be moving backward, and the part of the car is melting and the tires are wobbling in and out. The fountain's doing good though. While that was generating, I tried to get the woman that I wanted to turn toward the camera and smile. I changed up the prompt on that a little bit. Instead of just a beautiful woman smiles or smiling, I said beautiful woman turns her head toward the camera and smiles. I thought that would tell it, I want that action in that sequence. It didn't so much happen. I mean, we just ended up with some flowing hair that wasn't in our original attempt. I had a project where I needed to have workers building railroad tracks in the 1860s. I added the old film style by clicking that little feature set button above the generation prompt, and so it added in black and white movie style retro 1960s grayscale layers, which is cool. But my problem isn't even with the motion yet. My problem is with the train tracks. These won't work. So I don't see any immediate flaws in the movement, but this is unusual. I can't pick on Haiper for this because I've not been able to generate an image of this even where it all works out. Most of the time, the railroad tracks are like this. They make no sense. Then I wanted to try one of the Sora examples where it had a drone shot sort of flying over the California gold rush town. So I just typed that in as a prompt. I didn't use an image, and this is what it ended up with. Not terrible, but not exactly something to write home about. Sometimes when I entered that prompt or a prompt similar to it, drone flyover of a mining town during the California gold rush, this one gave me the may contain explicit content. Don't know what's explicit about that. This is the resultant video from that prompt. Things are melting on the screen. The road is sort of moving, and I don't know, that's sinking. Yeah, that's a no-go. And I won't bore you with the rest of these attempts, but in the end, I did not come up with a decent drone flyover video of a mid-1800s California gold rush mining town. I tried to have Joe Biden doing the Cabbage Patch dance, and as far as the image goes, I have Joe Biden in a cabbage patch. Not what I was going for. It does have him doing some kind of a dance with the cabbage patch. I don't know what it's got his hand doing. This seems to morph from the palm of his hand up to the back of his hand up and backward. I don't know. Here's one of the attempts of my pig. I set a pig wearing aviator goggles and a scarf, sitting in the cockpit of an old-fashioned propeller airplane flying through the sky with clouds and a bright blue sky behind. My thinking was, let's give it more detail. Maybe it'll figure it out. It also thought this might be explicit, but I still want to watch it. So I click watch video, and this comes out much more like what I'm looking for. I would be happy with that result. Now, I don't know if this wing out here in the lower left, if that's really in the right place, and there should probably be something behind him, some parts of the plane, but hey, this is as close as I've gotten. I wanted to experiment with the image and prompt a little bit more, so I went over to Leonardo and generated an image of a cat DJing at a lively party and uploaded that and just used the same prompt that I used to create the image, which is a cat entertains the crowd as a DJ at a lively party. And that's what it gave me. So we'll take that as a pass. I also took that image within Leonardo and applied motion to it to just kind of compare the two, and this is what Leonardo came up with. I think I kind of like the Leonardo version a little bit better. But if you had content that needed these particular assets, there'd be no reason why you couldn't just use both of them and have two different shots of this. So on the upside, you can use either a text prompt or an existing image. You can bring in your own image and tell it to animate and get some kind of animation out of it. Or you can start from scratch with nothing but a text prompt and say, generate this image and then animate it. If you do a text prompt, it's creating the very first frame, and then is using the first frame to generate the additional frames of the video. If you're bringing in an image, it's understanding your image and using that as the first frame and then figuring out how to animate it from there. Repaint is pretty cool and worked in almost every case that I tried. 2 second to 4 second limit really is a bummer. Word on the street is that's going to extend soon and be up to 5, 8, or 10 seconds, depending on who you ask, so that would be nice. On the downside, it is super slow to generate. It is only 720p, which may be an okay or a not okay, depending on what you're looking for. It did not hit the mark as much as I really expected it to. There were things like the bicycle, the movement in that was just terrible. And I would think a pretty straightforward prompt like this, someone riding a bicycle, it would have the physics and mechanics of that worked out, but not so much. And Haiper is pretty much on par with other generative AI tools as far as understanding what you're asking for in a prompt. And then there's the issue of the explicit content. And I would be totally fine with that, but I don't understand what would make some of these things explicit, like at all. So that concerns me a little bit, that there could potentially be some really annoying censorship issues. And it's one thing if it's censoring like not safe for work, or it's censoring violence or whatever, but at this point it doesn't seem to be getting it right when it comes to figuring out what is explicit and what isn't. As I mentioned earlier in this video, Haiper was free, completely free, and now as of this morning they have introduced Haiper Membership. And here are your membership and pricing options. Under the free, which is still a beta, all of these say right next to them they're beta. Under the free, you get 10 creations per day, quite a limit from unlimited. You get 3 concurrent creations. So when I talked about earlier how you could type in a prompt and hit create, type in something different, hit create, and keep going and have multiple things running at once, yeah, that's now going to be limited to 3. In the free membership, you'll have the watermark on all the videos that you create, that little animated watermark. You do not have a commercial use license, so whatever you're creating, you can't use it for commercial purposes, and you cannot create privately. If you upgrade to Explorer, which is $10 a month if you pay monthly, or with 20% off going yearly, it would be $8 a month if you go annually. You do get unlimited creations, you get 5 concurrent, you get early access to new features, limited free, whatever that means. The watermark goes away, you do have commercial use rights, but you still can't create private. All your creations are public. If you go up to the Pro for $30 a month, or $24 a month if you pay annually, you get unlimited creations, you get 10 concurrent creations, early access to new features. That one says more features are coming soon, which I guess is different than limited free, whatever that meant. Create watermark free videos, so you do get rid of the watermark when you go to Pro. You get the commercial use, and you get private creation. So for any creator, I'm thinking you don't want watermarks. You need to be able to use it for commercial, and you probably want private. So those are the 3 pieces that I would absolutely expect, and that means I'd have to go for the Pro membership at $30 a month, or $24 if I pay annually. I'm not seeing it here. Yeah, this is going to be a hard pass for me. For $30 a month, I expect it to work really, really well, and in my experience, hey, maybe I'm doing it all wrong, but in my experience, this just ain't there. I hope you found this helpful. I really appreciate you being here, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.